Hey everyone, welcome back to your favorite English podcast, where we teach language topics in a way that actually makes sense.
I'm Carol. Today we're going to talk about something that might sound technical, but it's super important when it comes to writing or understanding any kind of text. The cohesion and the coherence.
Yeah, that's right. These are two words that sound similar, but as we found out from a reanalysis by a researcher named Fanny Mao, they are not the same thing. And the truth, I trust her because she's a really smart teacher.
So let's start with cohesion. And cohesion is basically the way a sentence should be written. It's the words that you could use to link sentences together, like for example, and, but, or because.
Yeah, it's like if I say I like to play basketball. It's my favorite sport. The word it refers to basketball. That's a good example of cohesion.
But coherence is different. It's not about the words you use to link, it's about the meaning. A text is coherent when the ideas connect logically and make sense as a unit.
Exactly. According to Mao, you can have a text that's coherent without much cohesion. Did you get it? And the opposite too. It's not necessary to have both in a sentence, but probably will be a sentence without sense and you wouldn't be able to understand it correctly. You could have a text that uses all the right linking words or connectors but still makes no sense.
Yep. For example, Kanye West posted a tweet on May 30 of the current year saying, I am the moon. The structure is alright, but what does he mean by saying that? These kinds of sentences proves that it's not necessary to put coherence in a text to have cohesion.
It's technically cohesive, but definitely not coherent.
Okay, Mao also makes an important point. Coherence depends a lot on the reader. It's shaped by what we already know, our culture, or even the situation we are in. Because sometimes we know what the other people are talking about because we know the context. For example, gossip.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we understand a message not because of what's directly said, but because we read between the lines or connect it to what we know, because of the context and because we have a previous knowledge about it.
Yeah, what you're saying brings us to metaphor. And the metaphors could help us to make sense of abstract ideas by comparing them to things we already understand, which is really useful when there are some technical or difficult words.
For example, we could use a metaphor to help us feel what hope is like. Kind of like saying hope is a light at the end of the tunnel.
That metaphor helps keep the whole point coherent. It builds a team we can follow.
So, guys, it's important to remember these definitions. So, cohesion is the visible links in a text, or the connectors like, for example, although or also. Coherence is the deeper meaning and flow, like the big picture in this case. And metaphors can play a role in holding that meaning together.
And to conclude, now we know that when you want a text to make sense, you can just focus on the words you use. You have to do that your ideas connect in the reader's mind.
And that's it. Remember to share the podcast with your friends and your English teacher.
And remember, not because it is written correctly, it needs to make sense. To finish, our partner Sabrina is going to give an answer to the teacher's question.
So the question is why oral communication reinforces clarity and coherence in their own discourse. Oral communication reinforces clarity and coherence because it involves both cohesion, the structure of language, and coherence, which is the meaning behind it. When people speak, they naturally organize their ideas and connect them in a way that helps listeners understand. Coherence is about the logical flow and consistency of a message, while cohesion uses tools like repetition, reference, and connectors to support that consistency. Since speaking happens in real time, speakers have to adjust their message on the spot based on how listeners react. For example, if someone looks confused, the speaker might repeat key points or rephrase things to make the message clearer and more coherent.